Hello and welcome to episode 55 of the This Is The Music Meets podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by the Docksuns, a band hailing from the northeast of England. Over the course of the podcast, we're going to talk about the band's anthemic new single, Real Thing, their forthcoming live gigs in Sunderland, and of course, a bit of chat about their beloved football club, Sunderland. So, Docksuns, welcome along to the This Is The Music Meets podcast. How are you both doing today?
Great, thanks, Mark. Yeah, very well.
Yeah, good mate. Yeah,
great stuff. Well, it's great to have you both on. I should say we've got Stephen and Glenn here with us tonight. So kind of like just like want to go back to the beginning, really. Obviously, you guys formed back in 2019. So kind of like how did the band start? Did you already know each other at that point? What was the dynamic there going on?
Mm-hmm. So the band first formed when I put a video on Instagram of me playing the guitar on a story, and one of our previous members, a guy called Neil, responded to my story saying, "I never knew you play guitar. We should get a band going. Let's meet up and let's have a jam." I went back to him and said, "I don't really play guitar, to be honest. I was just sort of messing around on this story." And I told him that I'm a drummer, and we basically just sort of got the idea from there, and then sort of met up with sort of a few of the friends who play instruments, and that's where the band was born, really, just from an Instagram post. So Stephen and the front man James, and also our bassist Adam, were in a band previously, probably around about 10 years ago. I don't know if you want to say a few words about the band from back in the day, Steve. Spray on Jeans.
Spray on Jeans. Many moons ago on that. It's mad how I met Baxter, the singer. So he played for Dalton with one of my pals from school.
Yeah,
and I think it was Baxter's 16th or 17th birthday, and he was like it's his birthday. I feel crap going on me on, so he asked me to go along with him, and obviously that was the first time I met James, and I don't know, we just clicked from there, and he had guitars and drums in his room and that, and just had a little jam in his room, and it started from there.
Yeah. Oh, great stuff.
So I've been friends with Baxter for years as well. And then I knew Stephen from friends of friends, but I wouldn't say particularly well at all. And we just sort of met in the practice room when the band was put together. But like I say, so Stephen and James, or Baxter as he's known, they were in a band back in the day. And as I've just said there, they were called Spray on Jeans. And I was in another band when I was younger. But 2019, we all got together, and straight away we sort of felt like we had something good going on. And then we introduced Adam, the bassist, after a couple of sort of jams, and it just went from there, really. Strength to strength, I would say.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, obviously there was kind of like a bit of a, through no fault of your own, I should say, a bit of a minor blip, because obviously everyone got hit by COVID, and obviously couldn't, restricted in what you could and couldn't do. So kind of like, how did that affect you as a band? Because obviously we've said, you've been together there maybe for sort of 12 months or so, give or take, but you did manage to keep getting new music out. You had 4 songs that came out, during that period. So kind of what was it like? Was it easy to keep the band going and interested and stuff like that? As obviously couldn't really meet each other up or anything.
Yeah.
Well, it was all pretty new, wasn't it? I'm saying it was all pretty new to us anyway, so we still had that bug for it.
Yeah,
over that period.
It was a pretty crazy sort of 9 months when we first launched the band. So we had our first gig in June 2019, and it sort of, I don't want to say exploded, but in terms of our little northeast Sunderland scene, we got some pretty high profile gigs. So I think our third gig, we played the Sunderland Air Show, which is a big sort of little festival, if you like, in Sunderland, and planes fly over, and it's just a huge big event for the city, and they have this huge stage outside, and we supported Scouting for Girls. I wouldn't say they're sort of particularly like a musical influence of ours, but like that was like a really high profile gig, like third time we've ever been on the stage, and we're on this like massive outdoor event. And so it just went from strength to strength over the first 9 months, and then we got round to March, and we were on the ascendancy, and then obviously like lockdown hit, and that like knocked us back, and couldn't obviously play a gig for like what 12, 18 months or whatever it was. But as Stephen just said, we all had like this really big appetite just to push it as far as we can. And fortunately, we recorded a song just before lockdown, which is called "Dancing on the Radio," and we launched that in June. It was now on exactly a year to the date from when we'd done our first ever gig, and it just that sort of took off in lockdown. We'd done like a lockdown video. We all recorded sort of different parts in our house, in our bedrooms and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we stitched it together on this app, and it just sort of blew up. Really, it was really well received. But as Steve said, we were all like really hungry for it at the time, and then we're now just trying to get it sort of going again, sort of post COVID, you know.
Yeah, sure, definitely. And then kind of like off the back of that, you obviously then put out the Nile Street, kind of like your debut EP, which I really love. I think it's fantastic, great collection of songs, and gives a if anyone hasn't heard it, it does give a good I guess like introduction in a way, if you hadn't heard of the band before, of kind of like the sound and all that sort of thing. So kind of like looking back on it, how do you feel that was received? Like by the wider, sort of music or new music scene, Twitter community type of thing.
I think it's been a really good success. At the time, we had various songs which we wanted to record, and it was just a case of, well, if we don't really know which one to record and which one to put out, we just thought let's put these together. All three songs on the EP we feel have their own unique sound. So we've got "Share the Night," which is a sort of quite an upbeat, sort of like toe tapper, as we like to say. The song, the second song on the EP, "Criminals," a bit more of a darkness, more of a rockier sound. And then we've got "Dream World," which is quite like a melodic acoustic song. So we really feel that all of the songs complement each other well. And it was a really good time in the studio. We loved it. Like, we had a sort of full weekend, managed to get 3 songs down, and yeah, we're pretty proud of it, aren't we, Steve?
Yeah, really.
So it's a pretty quick process when you are in the studio recording. Then you're not, not sort of like sitting there working it out for ages. It's kind of like, right, we're in. We know what we're, how we want each song to sound as well.
Yes, when we record,
we've got like sorry, Glenn. A new track there that we just wrote, and we're all buzzing about it. It's like, we're going to get in the studio and record this. It's
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, when we come up with like a new song, we just want to get in the studio straight away and record it. We might have other songs that we've had sort of bubbling away for a few months, but we just know when a song needs to be recorded, which is good. To be honest, we always sing on the same hymn sheet. We know what sort of comes next in terms of what we want to record. But we had these 3 songs, and we knew that we needed to get them all down, and we're done like 2 12-hour days. But in terms of actually putting the song together in the studio, we've recorded with a particular studio in Newcastle called Blank Studios, and we've always got a great result. And the particular sound engineer that we use, he knows our sound brilliantly, and he brings his own dynamic with how a song should be put together. And I think we just complement each other really well. So it was quite a straightforward process recording the songs, and overall we're sort of overjoyed with the outcome of the songs.
Yeah, sure. And sorry, just sort of concentrating sort of on kind of the recording process, but more like on the writing side of it, really. Kind of like, how does that work? If because obviously I don't know who writes the songs within the band. Is it whoever that is? Is it right? I've written this song. This is what it's going to sound like. You're going to play this drum beat. You're going to do the beat. Or is it very much a case of you're all just sort of contributing the ideas to sort of to fit the song effectively?
Yes. Sorry, go on, Stephen.
No, you talk. You can.
I was just going to say, so ordinarily either Stephen being the lead guitar or Baxter the front man, they'll come to the practice with an idea, and they've always got little little strands with a little catchy riff or something like that, and they'll bring an idea to the practice room, and it's pretty scary how quickly we can put a song together. It might only take half an hour when we can have the core structure of the song. But certainly Stephen and Baxter, they're the brains of the operation. They bring some fantastic ideas, and I just hit the drums at the back, and we'll just work it out. But fortunately, as well, our front man, he plays the drums as well, so we'll maybe bounce some ideas around, and then Adam will put his bass in. But it's a pretty quick, straightforward process when we know what we want the song to sound like.
Yeah, sure. And kind of like then bringing us sort of up to date, I guess, effectively. Obviously the new single, Real Thing, it's a fantastic tune. And in my opinion, it's probably the best song that I think you've released so far. So what can you tell us about it?
So the song itself, speaking to the front man, I understand his influence. It was all to do about when you're on a night out and you've got a bit of a decision to make as to whether you go back with a particular person. And sometimes you can wake up in life and you might have regrets about who you maybe woke up with. But then in the same token, if you didn't make that decision, you then have regrets going home that you didn't go back with that particular person. And the sort of story is that you should have no regrets regardless of whatever decisions you make in life. But the song, it was quite a strange one because we actually went to a different studio this time because we wanted a bit more of like a poppy, upbeat feel, and we feel that we got that with the studio that we went to. So we went to a place in Sunderland called Motorhouse Studios, and the sound technician is in a band called Vanderbilt, who were from Sunderland, and they've got a really good poppy sound. And we knew that this particular sound engineer, the guy called Jordan Miller, would give us a fantastic sound, and we're really happy with it. So,
yeah, I mean that. Oh, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. What was that? Sorry, Stephen.
I was just saying Jordan's a talented guy. Like he's musically gifted, Jordan. Like, isn't he?
No, he's fantastic. He's well versed on more or less any instrument you could pick up. He's brilliant on like the piano, and he's really good singer. He knows harmonies, and he's just a very musically talented guy. So he sort of brought a lot to the song. He completely changed my drum beat. Had to go back to the drawing board on that one, but it was really weird. Like normally when I record the drums, I'll just track the full song, and then we'll add the bass, we'll add the rhythm, we'll add the lead, add the vocals. But we split it all down, and we just done like a few takes of each individual drum part, and we changed it all up, and then he laid it all together on his system, and it was a completely different dynamic in the studio, but it worked pretty well. And yeah, we'll love the song.
Yeah, so as I say, it's a fantastic tune, and as you were just describing there, like it's real upbeat song, and that chorus, it's been stuck in my head for days. To be fair, can't literally, yes, as I say, stuck in the head. It's a great song, and you've definitely achieved what you wanted it to achieve.
Yeah, I think a lot of our choruses, we don't normally have like sort of repetitive words, and we don't really have too many choruses where people can sing along. So came up with the idea of just putting it back to basics. So having a chorus where everyone can just join in and sing along. Like if you've never seen us, you can stand in the audience, listen to Real Thing, sorry, and you feel like you're part of it. You can sing along, you can be with the sort of band. So we think we've got a good result. So
yeah, well, in my view, it's definitely better than good. I can assure you of that. So kind of like as well then, here at sort of This Is The Music, we like to try and shine a light on bands, like Docksuns that are trying to make their way on the new music scene. So kind of like over the last sort of like 12 months or so, what sort of bands or artists have you both been listening to that that have caught your eye, that you're really enjoying what they're doing?
Stephen's the music man, aren't you, Steve? He brings new songs to the practice room every week for influences. So I don't know if you want to run us through some bands of yours, Stephen.
I've got quite a broad taste of music. Like it all depends what mood I'm in, to be honest, mate.
Right. Okay.
I dare say over the past year, I've been non-stop listening to a band called Pine Grove.
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
an American band, and I'm just obsessed with them. Like they're a big influence in my sound, and like the chord progressions that I use, like influenced heavily from them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would probably say for myself, I've been listening to Red Rum Club quite a lot. So they've got trumpet player in the band. Not many bands have trumpet players these days, and they're all scouters, and they've got their own like musical little sound that I don't really feel many other bands are doing at the minute, and they're just really good. I just think they're fantastic. But I would probably say similar to Stephen. I like listening to any type of music really, but the lads always bring sort of like reference tracks to the practice room, so it's good to get a different flavour of what sort of people are listening to at the time.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So just kind of like also as well, I'm sure that you both have seen the Chris Moyles' comments regarding about unsigned bands obviously being crap and that he's never going to play them on his radio show. So kind of like obviously as we've said, sort of I know you've been going for a couple of 3-4 years now, but you're obviously still sort of trying to find your way, so to speak, on the new music scene. So kind of like what was your immediate reaction to that? Has your opinion changed at all over that period of time?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? I mean, I think everyone listening to that would probably almost be horrified because any good band was once an unsigned band. But maybe in Chris's defence, there's some absolute shocking unsigned bands out there, and he's probably right. But everyone needs a chance, don't they? Do you know what I mean? Like, as I say, every big band was once an unsigned band, and everyone needs a chance. Everyone needs a break. You can't have new music if people aren't given a chance at the start. So I feel like we fit in that category as well. We're trying to make a name for ourselves, and we're trying to get on the local BBC introduction shows. Everyone seems to do as well, which is great. Try to get played on various other media channels as well. And I think he just maybe needs to just give people a break, and maybe stuff like that it's not very sort of progressive for new bands, isn't it? It's not really what you want to hear when you're sort of trying to break the scene and stuff like that. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, it's very.
Unsigned band, like I'm saying, he's got it's like the platform he's got. He should be promoting unsigned band. You know what I mean? Like young kids out there want to make a name for themselves. They should be getting some exposure and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think as well, personally, I just kind of like feel, don't get me wrong, obviously, everyone knows about, John Kennedy and stuff, and obviously he does fantastic, for, giving bands, as you just mentioned there, like the exposure and stuff. But, kind of like if it was to be, like even if it was just like one band, every day that got, a slot on the like the breakfast show or the drive time show or whatever, I think kind of like as you're both saying, really the exposure for those bands would be fantastic. Really.
Yeah, I think given that he works on Radio X, for me that's the type of radio station that you go there to listen to alternative music from mainstream radio stations like Radio 1, etc. So to hear that, it's almost going against, for me, what Radio X is all about. You want to listen to alternative bands, you want to listen to indie bands, rock bands, and for him to say that unsigned music doesn't have a space on his show, well, it's like, well, this is sort of what I'm coming for. Do you know what I mean? But maybe not the best comment, but there we are.
There we go. So okay, we're gonna move away just momentarily from talking about music. I know that you both are supporters of Sunderland. So kind of like let's have a little chat about how the season's going. Obviously, this is the first season back in the Championship, isn't it? For 4 seasons. Sorry. You're doing okay at the moment. 11th in the league. Is it about 6-7 points off of the playoffs? Do you think you could sneak in there with to go? Am I right in saying?
Yeah, I mean, we had an absolute flying start of the season. The first half was brilliant. We had two big men playing up top. A guy called Ross Stewart, who essentially got us promoted single-handedly last year, and a guy called Ellis Sims, who's on loan from Everton. And them two were just knocking goals in for fun. It was just frightening, really. And then, unfortunately, Ellis Sims got recalled back to Everton in January, and Ross Stewart is now out for the season with an injury. So we've got a young lad on loan from Leeds called Gelhardt. But it hasn't really worked out for them. So at the minute, we've went from scoring goals every single week to all of a sudden the goals drying up. And it looks like we're sort of going to be in the box seat for like a playoff place. But now we've just sort of fallen out in the last 4 games. We've drawn 1 and lost 3, which is like unheard of for us because we were, I don't think we had back-to-back defeats. I think we had one period where we had back-to-back defeats prior to that. And we're like a pretty consistent team. But no, as you said, we're all Sunderland fans, aren't we, Steve? We all want the team to do well, and we just want the city to do well, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. If you said it was last year, though, we'd be sitting in mid-table in the Championship. Just snap someone's hand off.
Because that was a bit of a crazy sort of end to the season, wasn't it? Because you had Lee Johnson was the manager. Did he was the last game that he got sacked? He lost like 5-0 or something. Am I right in saying was that?
Yeah. So we played Bolton away and we got beat 6-0, and I think the transfer window had just closed. So he'd signed loads of players, which, to be fair, the players he signed were really good players as well. And he got beat 6-0, and I think at the time we were like 3rd in the league, and he got sacked, and it was probably an overreaction. But then on balance, Alex Neil came in, sort of ex-Norwich manager, pretty good name for League One, I guess.
Yeah.
He came in and we just took off. We just moved into a different gear, and I think went on a 18-game unbeaten run all the way to the final when we played Wickham at Wembley and won.
Yeah.
So we took like 40,000 fans down there. It was like capital takeover. Everyone went down the night before, took over Trafalgar Square, Covent Garden, and it was just fantastic for the city. And to be back sort of in a league where at least we feel we should be, Championship or higher, it was a pretty good day. So
yeah, definitely. And kind of like as well, I'm sure you must be fully aware, I'm sure. Obviously you did the Netflix documentary Sunderland Till I Die, which as a football fan, I mean I did thoroughly enjoy it, even though if there were a few moments that maybe should have been left on the cutting room floor, so to speak. So kind of like as Sunderland supporters, like what was the feeling of the club doing that? Was it like well received amongst the fan base? Because obviously there was a little bit of, maybe like Mickey taking from other teams, other team supporters across social media.
What do you think, Stephen? Do you think it was good or not, or what do you think your perception was?
I thought it was good to get a good insight to like what goes on behind closed doors. You know what I mean? Like you didn't get to see that in the media. It's just like,
yeah, I think it was really good in the fact that it puts Sunderland on a bit of a like global platform. I think loads of people from like Argentina and South America were really taken by it. I was reading before, and it's just the way football is now. There's been various documentaries done for like Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal now. So given that we've got our own little TV drama, then if it puts us on a platform, then I think that can only be a good thing.
Yeah.
And as Steve said, it was good to see a bit of an insight in terms of how transfers are made and stuff like that. But I think they recorded it, obviously, with us coming down from the Premier League, thinking that we were going to be hopefully fighting for promotion and it was going to be this really exciting Netflix show, and it ended up being just the complete opposite, car crash of a season, and we've done back-to-back relegation. So that's football, I guess, but it was good. It was good. I mean, I would like to have been a star-studded documentary where we're banging goals in every week, but it just wasn't really that way, was it?
No, unfortunately, no. It wasn't for you guys. As I say, I mean, I think as Stephen, you just said, it was really good actually to get that insight into the background of how football clubs are run. So let's go back then to you as a band. You've obviously got some pretty big gigs coming up soon. Obviously, you've got the headline gig at the Independent on the 6th of May with Lee Ford and Balado. And I understand that you've got a bit of a freeway gig swap going on with them guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the one on the 6th of May is the one which we're really looking forward to the most. So that's our hometown headliner. So we've played in Sunderland a few times over the last sort of 12 months, but we haven't actually done a headline show. So we're really looking forward to that one. And then just in regard to the gig swap, I think it's just a fantastic way for bands to play in new cities. We've done various gig swaps now with other bands, and it'll be great to go to Glasgow. Haven't played there yet. Same with Liverpool as well. So really excited just to get on the road, and rather than preaching the converted, playing in cities which we've played, or towns as well, which we've played various times now, like Sunderland, Newcastle, Stockton, places like that. We can't wait just to get on the road and show our music to different fans. We've got a few small little festivals coming up as well. So we're playing Sunderland Calling and Stockton Calling as well. So they'll be fantastic, bit of a different dynamic. But yeah, getting on the road doing the gig swaps are the ones which we're really looking forward to, aren't we, Steve?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and those festivals that you've just mentioned, those lineups as well look really good for the obviously the Sunderland Calling. That's a bit more of a mixture of bands, sort of more established bands. But Stockton Calling, I think you might have the Sherlocks are on the bill, I think, but generally it seems to be bands like yourselves, up and coming, which I think is fantastic to kind of like see. So off the back of that last question. We're going to ask you guys to put on a hypothetical music festival for us. So Docksuns are on the bill. So what we'd like to know is, first of all, what would be the dream venue for you guys to play at, or for this festival, I should say?
Ooh. I think naturally, everyone always says, "Oh, I want to play at Glastonbury." It's just like, I feel like that is just the most obvious answer that you could ever say that you'd want to do. For me, if I could play any festival, it would 100% be Leeds Festival. And the reason why is that when I was growing up, it was just a rite of passage that everyone went to Leeds Festival as the first festival. I mean, Sunderland and Leeds, you get down there in an hour and a half. And I first went when I was, 17, something like that. And just every year, everyone would go. It was like class. You go with your mates camping, you do a full weekend, get the early bird tickets. It was like a 5-day festival. And it was just a rite of passage for like a teenager that loved music. And I was sort of firmly in that camp. And I was fortunate enough to go a few times. And when I first went in 2009, the Arctic Monkeys headlined, and I'm a drummer. And Matt Helders at the end of the set came to the front of the stage, threw his drumsticks into the crowd, 80,000 people there, and I caught one of them.
Oh, amazing.
And, I feel like it was like divine intervention that I caught this drumstick. So it's got a special place in my heart, if I'm honest. So I would probably say the venue would be Leeds Fest. I don't know what you think, Steve, lad.
Well, I've never attended Leeds Festival, so I'm not quite sure on that one. Like, but I don't know. I'd probably say Glastonbury just because of the sheer scale of it. Do you know what I mean? It's a massive festival, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so what for the festival, we've got space for sort of 5 bands or artists. It can be any band or artist that you want. All you need to do is decide where Docksuns are going to fit on the bill, and the obviously 5 bands. We've got Docksuns, so we just need 4 other bands that are going to join you at this festival.
Whoa. Tell you what.
Some
question that in it.
Past or present bands.
It's entirely up to you guys.
Well, Fleetwood Mac definitely like.
Fleetwood Mac, it's a good one.
Yeah, class. Yeah, I love it.
Of course. For me, and I would hope Steve will probably agree, one of the bands which first got me into music was Milburn, who some would probably know them as being like the Arctic Monkeys, sort of like ugly sister. People used to think that they used to just rip them off because they were both from Sheffield. But when Sending the Boys first came out, like, it just blew my mind. I was like, this is absolutely unbelievable. And I saw them in 2006, just before the first album came out.
Yeah.
And I was like 15 at the time. And it was just unbelievable. Going to Newcastle with your mates on the train, going to the gig, and just listen to their music, I just thought was absolutely brilliant. But they've done a reunion tour like back in 2016. It was 10-year anniversary since the first album came out, and me and Steve went to Sheffield to see them together, and they were absolutely class, like just same as before, just absolutely blew the roof off. So I would probably put Milburn on there. Like, I don't know what you think, Steve.
Definitely made a shout. Like,
Yeah,
Definitely.
I'm with you on that one. Absolutely love that debut album, man. That's, as you say, just blows me away. Even
Yeah.
now, still blows me away. Okay, so we've got Docksuns, sorry, we've got Fleetwood Mac, and we've got Milburn. We just need two more bands.
Yeah. For me, tell us if you disagree, Steve, but another band which again completely got me into music when I was younger was the Future Heads. So they're probably arguably the biggest known band that have came out of Sunderland within the last sort of like 20 years.
Yeah,
And the song which broke for them, which sort of put them into sort of stardom, if you like, was Hounds of Love, which is a
yeah.
cover of Kate Bush's song.
Yeah, that's it.
And
Yeah,
I would put Futures on there just for the representation of Sunderland. You know what I mean? They've done loads over the years, and musically they're very different. They do like a lot of a cappella songs. Like all of them are like super talented. So I'd probably put Future Heads in the mix. Like,
okay, great stuff. And the last band?
go on,
Um,
Steve, over to you, mate.
I'd probably see Catfish and the Bottlemen just for the sheer fact that they're split up, and I'd probably just not get a chance to see them, so I'd have them on the bill. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, why not? Yeah, I'm the same. I've had a few near misses with going to see them, but that sounds like a great lineup to me. So just to recap, we've got Docksuns, we've got Fleetwood Mac, Milburn, Future Heads, and Catfish and the Bottlemen. Great stuff, lads. So kind of like them, we've mentioned obviously you've got the new single that's come out, and obviously there's 3 or 4 gigs as well that you've got coming up. In sort of the next few months as well. So what other plans are there in the pipeline for the rest of the year?
Oh, it's a busy year ahead, to be honest. I would say this 12-month period is probably going to be our busiest to date. We've got like various gigs sort of in the northeast and those with the gig swaps, which were mentioned. But all of a sudden, we seem to be getting loads of traction just with people that we haven't ordinarily connected with. Seem to be getting a lot more approaches of people asking us to sort of play gigs locally and further afield. So hopefully just build more momentum, try to build our contacts and just play with other bands. Like we love just having daft crack on with all these other bands. We played a gig in Newcastle just of the week, played with a band from Liverpool called the Hush Tones, really sound, just completely different music to us. And we just want to experience different cultures, different music, go to different places, have a laugh. We've done a gig in Dunfermline last year, and it was just absolute riotous. It was class, and we just want to do just more gigs like that. And we first got to this pub, and we didn't really have too much of a high expectation when we got there. It was just a bit of like a pub off the high street, and we thought, bloody hell, what's his gig going to be like? Lo and behold, we played the gig on the night. There were people like trying to crowd surf. Honestly, it was mental. People were like getting onto the stage, jumping all over with us, and we just want to do more gigs like that. The unexpected ones are always the best. So hopefully we'll just keep on lining the diary up and getting a few more support slots, trying to get our name out there, and hopefully just continue to build a bit of a fan base.
Great stuff. Well, it certainly sounds like it's going to be a really exciting 2023 for you guys. Unfortunately, Stephen and Glenn, that is the end of the This Is The Music Meets Docksuns podcast. I really want to thank you both for coming on. Really enjoyed it and getting to know a little bit more of the dynamics within the band. And hopefully if there's any gigs down in London in the near future, maybe I might be able to pop along and come and have a beer or two with you both and show my support.
Fingers crossed.
If you'd like to find out a little bit more about Docksuns, then we have included the links to their social media platforms in today's episode bio. And whilst you're there, please go and give Real Thing a stream because it is a fantastic tune. All that leaves me to say is to thank everyone who has listened to the latest This Is The Music Meets podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss out on any brand new episodes. And if you're loving the podcast, show us some love by giving us a 5-star rating and written review, as it really does help the artists we interview to be discovered. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again very soon.